The Area Command, 392 miles west of Kittiac Beach, North Carolina. I just brought up my monitor. We are on the air with Emergency Management Associates tonight with all of you. I'm going to wait for a couple minutes to get people here in the chat so I know that people are hearing and watching this program, and then we'll go live with the rest of our report. We have a lot of things to talk about, including the fires and the few earthquakes that we've had here and around the world. I'm just waiting for the chat to come up here. Just waiting for the chat to come up here. Richard Smith is here from Nova Scotia. Welcome, welcome. Demon Catman from the east of England is here. Juanito from El Centro, California is here. Welcome, Juanito. Sleeping Volcano from Denver is here. Nicole Modar is here. Welcome, welcome. Ring of Lights Crafts is here. Catherine Sigerson from Canada is here. Welcome, guys. Nicole's coming from California. Thank you all for being here. Can someone give us a 5x5 here to let us know that the audio and the video is working here? Ring of Lights Craft says she was hoping we're having a wonderful day, and yes, we are. It is a beautiful day in the neighborhood here in North Carolina. There is very little wind or breeze here. It's about 94 degrees here. I'm looking at my computer right now. It's about 94 degrees here in Morganton, North Carolina. Just to give you an idea, starting tomorrow through the rest of the weekend, the temperatures are going to be in the mid to upper 90s here where I live. It's incredible. It's going to be totally incredible. Hot and very dry. Sleeping Volcano says, yuck, phew. Yeah, I agree. Yuck, phew is right. My wife hates the heat of the summer. I tolerate it because I hate the extreme cold of winter. By extreme cold, I'm saying below zero. We used to get below zero temperatures in Salt Lake City, not often, but quite a lot, and I hated that because my breathing was very much affected by the cold of the atmosphere. It was way too cold. Catherine is saying it's way too hot for this northern girl. Yes, I can imagine. I can totally imagine. Folks, I want to talk first about, well, let me tell you what's going on. Over around the world, we've only had one large earthquake. One very large earthquake. It was a 5.7 large earthquake. It happened in the South Sandwich Islands in the southern part of the Mid-Atlantic. The southern part of the Mid-Atlantic, way south, just south and east of South America. A 5.7 earthquake early this morning. Anyway, that's the biggest earthquake today. We have not had any major earthquakes at all around the globe. But I want to talk about fires tonight. I've got a lot of information for you. A lot of information. First, I want to show you a car near Roswell, New Mexico. I want to show you this. This is a car driving through the smoke near Roswell, New Mexico. It's been incredible. I told you last night that we would talk about the fires in New Mexico because the fires in New Mexico are literally overpowering. They are literally overpowering. We talked about the California fires last night. The California fires are still blazing, and many of them are still out of control. This is one of the other pictures we have for you tonight. The flames are leaping out of Rodozio, New Mexico. You can see the smoke, you can see the flames rising hundreds of feet into the air here. This is what people are having to put up with. It's not pleasant. It's not pleasant at all. I'm going to show you the New Mexico flood alerts. Now, what has happened? We have all these fires, and you can see on this map where Ruidoso is, Ruidoso. You can see where the salt fire is up to the northwest of there. Both these fires are very dangerous fires, and they are both out of control. This area here is going to be inundated by this weekend, going to be inundated with rain. The burn areas will flood. The burn areas here will flood. And that's exactly what the people don't want. Nobody wants to see areas where fire has been, and then as a result the floods cause landslides in these areas. And that's exactly what's going to happen this weekend. You can guarantee it. You can map it. I'm now going to show you a map of New Mexico weather risk. Okay? The extreme weather storm threat here. One is the beginning of the extreme. If it was 5, it would be very extreme. But you can see all of these counties here covered by weather. Okay? Weather. The rains are going to start. The rains may help the firefighters put out the fires. But folks, this is going to continue. It's very much going to continue. And it's only going to get worse. Okay? Now, I want to show you this now here. This is the South Fork fire near Ruidoso, New Mexico. It's at now 15,276 acres. It's been active now 2 days. 2 days since Monday night. Human caused. It's 0% contained. 0% contained. It's a big deal. It's a big deal, and a lot of people have been put off, and they are out of housing. They're out of housing. Now there is places where people can go for housing. Emergency shelters have been set up at 2 different elementary schools. Emergency shelters have been set up at 2 different elementary schools. This is going to be ongoing until this whole thing is taken care of. Now, the New Mexico governor, Governor Graham, has declared a state of emergency in New Mexico. Firefighters have not been hurt, but there has been 1 death as a result of these fires. Over 1,400 structures have been burned as the South Fork fire rages in New Mexico, and the weather has become erratic. Prior to this storm coming in here this weekend, the winds have been very erratic, and they're going to continue being erratic until this storm comes in and rain sets in over the fire. 2 wildfires are threatening towns and villages in south central New Mexico, and they're going to continue to grow. They've continued to grow throughout the day today, leaving a trail of damage and forcing thousands of residents to flee. The South Fork fire and the salt fires have scorched combined acreage of 20,000 acres. 20,000 acres. And also tribal, Indian land and government land surrounding the village of Ruidoso in south central New Mexico. Both those fires, are 0% contained. Some 1,400 structures have burned. Several more remain threatened as the weather takes a turn toward the erratic. The South Fork fire and the salt fire. Let me give you some information here. Evacuations are still in place with the continued fire growth that is continued to be expected. The South Fork, 16,335 acres. The salt fire has consumed 7,071 acres as of this afternoon. 0% contained. The fuels are mixed conifer trees and pine and juniper trees. The crews are in there. The heavy-duty equipment is in there. Fire engines are in there. Helicopters and air tankers have been brought in there to help control this fire. The Southwest Area Team 5, that I have been very involved with in the past, and Incident Commander Dave Guesses. I've had some contact with Dave Guesses. He assumed command of the South Fork and the Salt Fires as of 6 a.m. today. He's a great incident commander. I have had some contact with him, and I have worked with him on one other incident. The extreme fire behavior occurred across the South Fork and Salt Fires on Tuesday, with crowning and long-range spotting that has been observed. Aviation resources include fixed-wing air tankers, helicopters. They've all conducted water and retardant drops, water and fire retardant drops throughout the day today. Air resources have worked in conjunction with ground crews, firefighters, and heavy equipment. And they're continuing to construct fire lines around structures to help prevent any more structures from being consumed. They have started spot fires in various areas of the South Fork fire yesterday. Again, Michelle Luan Grisham held a news conference last night, just hours after she declared a state of emergency. Firefighters reported treating 2 people for non-life-threatening injuries during the evacuations. She said that her office has not had any confirmed reports of injuries or death, although we have had a confirmed report of a death today. 7 patients have been evacuated to the town hospital, and 17 more residents were brought to safety from an assisted living facility. The larger South Fork fire was discovered about 9 a.m. Monday, and it quickly grew during the afternoon with what New Mexico forestry officials described as extreme fire behavior, as gusty winds reached 20 to 30 miles per hour, and low humidity fueled the flames. The fire began encroaching on Ruidoso late Monday evening, prompting officials to urge immediate evacuation of the entire village and the surrounding area. Officials are telling residents, and I'm echoing this, if you are told to evacuate, please do not try to gather belongings or protect your home. Go now. This emphasizes the importance of everyone to have an emergency preparedness kit and put it near your front doors, so when you're told to evacuate, you can grab what you have, throw it in your cars, and be gone. You don't have time to scour your home at the time. You do have time to grab those emergency preparedness kits we've talked about, asking everybody to have them, and have them right next to your front door so you can grab those, throw them in your car, and leave. That's all the time you're going to have. That is all the time you're going to have. You need to have an emergency preparedness kit. You need a 72-hour kit like we've talked about. You also need go bags. You need go bags, guys. Please don't misunderstand me. You need to have these things. We continue to talk about it. It's like I am just jacking my jowls. I don't want to be doing that. I want to make sure that you have the things necessary for when an emergency happens, you can get your belongings and take off. You need to have this, guys. You need to have it. Carrie Cox is here saying hello. Thank you for being here, Carrie. We appreciate it. Now, emergency officials have set up shelters in nearby Roswell, and they've offered state fairground space to house evacuated livestock. As of Tuesday evening, the wildfires blanketed 15,276 acres. The Salt Fire has blanketed 7,700 acres there. More than, excuse me, more than 800 firefighters and first responders are on the scene. The New Mexico National Guard has sent more than 40 Army and Air National Guardsmen to assist state police on traffic checkpoints. Traveling in and around the eastern and southern part of the state is not only not allowed with road closures, it's even discouraged even when roads are open. Again, the roads in and around the eastern and southern part of New Mexico are closed. Traffic is not allowed in there. There are road closures and roadblocks. Even after the fire ends, the roads are still not going to be open. The cause of these fires remains under investigation. However, it is suspected to be arson. It is expected to be arson. The nearby salt fire also prompted its own evacuation. Firefighters have their hands full not only with the South Fork fire, but also with a salt fire burning nearby on the Mescalero Reservation, the Mescalero Indian Reservation. That fire reached over 5,500 acres on Tuesday, and now it's already 7,700 acres as of today. It's forced evacuations of residents in that area. The fire is now making a significant run towards Ruidoso Downs, posing an imminent threat to that area. The weather is very dynamic right now. As I said, there's a storm system coming in there, and that is bringing heavy-duty winds, 20 to 30 mile an hour winds, which is only fanning the flames in that low humidity area. While the weather has generally been hot, dry, and windy so far, the firefighters are approaching the back door of the cold front. There's an area of the cold front. Like I said, there's rain coming in. That cold front with the potential of severe weather is set to bring fresh challenges to fighting the blaze. The weather is very dynamic. The wind, as we speak, is in the process of shifting. It's been shifting since the fire even started. It's been a steady southwest wind. But now, forecasters in New Mexico are expecting a wind shift to the southeast, with gusts of 45 miles per hour last night into today. 45 mile per hour gusts fanning the flames. The wind shift is a little concerning. New Mexico State Forester Laura McCarthy said there is a potential that this wind to have additional homes impacted until this storm system moves through, and it shifts back to moving in the other direction. Now, while this front may bring badly needed rain, it may be too much rain, too much and too fast in these areas. Flash flood watches are now in effect in the burn areas. Heavy rainfall could trigger flash flooding in low-lying areas, urbanized street flooding as well, and debris flows in and near the recent wildfire burn scars. Now, NOAA, the National Oceanographic Administration, has said that the Storm Prediction Center has placed the region in what they call a level 1 out of 5 severe weather risk, for storms that could bring isolated wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour or maybe even higher, and possibly large hail in that area. Large hail, heavy winds, and rain. So it's both bad news and good news in New Mexico from a weather perspective. It also means that this fire is going to be very dynamic, at least until we can see what rainfall amounts materialize and what the effect of any rainfall has in the area, modifying or decreasing the fire behavior. In the meantime, we all have marveled how the local community and the state have rallied together for those in need. Men and women have put their lives on the line, including state police, local police, firefighters, and National Guard. Men, women, and their families are doing amazing work. The number of New Mexico residents who are on their own are helping move livestock, and resources and offering up their own homes for shelter. This shows us once more again about the generosity and the compassion of people here in New Mexico and literally all over the world. When things happen, people get busy. When things get bad, people get busy and help each other. That's what's going on. Now, I want to talk a little bit about space weather. In order to protect people and systems, electronic computer systems on board satellites, and electronic and computer systems here on the surface of the Earth that might be at risk from space weather effects. We need to understand what causes this. During the past months and even years, we've talked about solar flares. We talked about coronal mass ejections. We talked about sunspots. We talked about X-class flares, which are the higher class solar flares that become very dangerous as the level goes up. The sun is the main source of space weather. Eruptions of plasma and magnetic field structures from the sun's atmosphere. We talked about this. The eruptions of plasma heading out from the sun and hitting the Earth like this. That's how it does. That plasma radiation racing away from the sun at sometimes up to 1,000,000+ miles per hour going like this. This is what it looks like. Okay? I want to make sure everybody understands it. It hits the Earth-facing sun side of the Earth. It hits the Earth-facing sun side of the Earth like this. Now, when it happens, the sudden burst of radiation called solar flares can cause space weather effects on the Earth. Luckily, the Earth's magnetosphere, and down below that the ionosphere, and the atmosphere of the Earth do a great job of protecting us from most hazardous effects. If a coronal mass ejection arrives at the Earth, it can produce a geomagnetic storm, producing auroras. We've talked about this before. Those geomagnetic storms also in turn cause anomalies and disruptions to the modern conveniences we have come to rely on here on this Earth, for life on this Earth. For example, I want to talk about fluctuating magnetic fields. Fluctuating magnetic fields. Okay? As these solar storms hit, our magnetic fields can fluctuate a great deal. Some of these electronic fluctuations can cause spacecraft, these satellites, to malfunction. And they have had satellites that have deorbited as a result of the space weather, the geomagnetic storms. Okay? The fluctuating magnetic fields associated with these storms and the currents, electrical currents in the line wires that we have stretched all around our Earth. Power lines, potentially leading to widespread blackouts in extreme cases, and we have seen this. On March 13th, 1989, a powerful geomagnetic storm triggered a major power blackout in Canada. It left 6 million people without electricity for 9 hours. According to the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, NERC, the flare disrupted electric power transmission from the hydroelectric generating station in Quebec and even damaged some power transformers in New Jersey. The power outages due to space weather are rare events, but evidence suggests that significant effects could occur, and we've talked about this. We've talked about this a great deal in the days and months previous to this. Power outages due to space weather are rare, but the evidence suggests that these significant effects could occur and do occur. Significant power outages may have cascading effects causing loss of water, loss of wastewater distribution systems, perishable foods and medication because of electric outages, Heating and air conditioning, electrical lighting systems go out. Computer systems, telephone systems, communication systems including disruption in airline flights, satellite networks that we talked about, GPS navigation systems, public transportation systems including aircraft in the air, radio transmission between aircraft and air traffic control. And when we're talking about this, we also have to consider NASA and Roscosmos in Russia. Both those agencies are operating the International Space Station. And there are Russian cosmonauts and American and other countries' astronauts up there in space. Communications systems are disrupted with the space station. Computer systems go down at the space station. It happens. Public transportation systems, like I said, aircraft. Fuel distribution systems and fuel pipelines are also affected around the world. All electrical systems that do not have power backup. All electrical systems that do not have power backup. That's why we talked about solar generators. That's why we talked about electrical generators. Okay? This is exactly why. I wanted to talk about this one more time because we are not out of the woods yet. The C-class flares, the M-class flares, the R-class flares, and the X-class flares are still going to happen. Okay? That's why we're talking about it. Steve Leap is here in the chat saying similar to the effects of an EMP. Correct. Absolutely correct. Except an EMP has the ability to completely disrupt and take down electrical systems of all kinds. Take down electrical systems of all kinds. Okay? So you need to realize this. Okay? That's why we're talking about it. Rob52 is talking about here on the chat about joining the Emergency Management Associates membership here on YouTube. You can go over to our program description right now. At the very top of the program description, it's the only thing there right now, but right there at the top is a link to our YouTube Emergency Management Associates membership. You can join at 3 levels: the $1.99 a month, the $2.99 a month, and the $3.99 a month. You have that opportunity. Okay? Richard Smith has calculated or has put up the solar wind speed right now. 481.2 kilometers per second. That's humming. That's humming. The solar wind speed is blowing that plasma radiation off the sun towards the other planets in the solar system, including the Earth. That's quite fast. That is huge. That is huge. Okay? I wanted to make sure you guys understood this. Space weather has caused problems even before the widespread generation and distribution of electrical power. The strongest geomagnetic storm occurred in September 1859. It is commonly known as the Carrington event, September 1859, after the British astronomer Richard Carrington. That's who it was named after. During this solar geomagnetic storm, it produced excessive current through telegraph lines, shocking telegraph technicians and in some cases setting their telegraph equipment on fire. Aurora that we talked about is another feature of geomagnetic activity. We've seen that now visible all the way far south to Cuba and Hawaii. This last geomagnetic storm had auroras as far south as Cuba and Hawaii. Today, a storm like that would cause significant impacts on our technology. Now, we don't rely on telegraph networks so much to communicate anymore. However, our communications technologies are still vulnerable to space weather impacts. Solar flares still produce energetic particles, protons and electrons that produce energetic particles. Those particles stream to Earth and are captured by the Earth's magnetic field. These particles can damage satellites, like I said, that are used for commercial communications and government communications, global positioning, GPS, intelligence gathering, weather forecasting satellites. They can also cause high-frequency radio blackouts in the polar regions, and also radio blackouts on the sun-facing side of the Earth. The sun-facing side of the Earth. Okay? Does everybody understand that? I wanted to make sure I gave you this information before we even get any further down the road. I want to make sure everybody understands what these geomagnetic storms are, what this plasma radiation does. Yes, this channel, Emergency Management Associates, has talked about this a lot. But I wanted to talk about this again. Okay? I wanted to talk about this again. I want everybody to understand it, because you too can be affected by it. Okay, it's not just electronics. Our human bodies are over 60% water. Our bodies absorb these protons and electrons and plasma radiation. In some cases, it alters our behavior. It can affect our brains. It can affect the way we walk or do business. I have been trying to put up information every time we have one of these storms, because I want people to be aware of it. That way, you're not going to walk off a short pier. You're not going to do anything irrational. Some people get very bad headaches. One of our own mods, Heather, has some issues with these severe geomagnetic storms. It affects her a lot, and has affected many of you as well. Okay? Sheila Dean says she didn't know that. She said, thank you for sharing the information and knowledge with us. That's why I'm here. Demon Catman says he has those same kind of issues too. I'm trying to make sure you guys understand that. And in the coming future, and as in the past, I'm going to try to focus on when we're going through those storms, so you're aware of it. So you can try to protect yourself, or at least try to be indoors. So you can at least try to be indoors when these storms hit. Okay? Do you guys have any questions for me in regards to what we've talked about so far tonight? Do you have any questions? I just want to make sure everybody is familiar with what we're talking about. Sometimes things get really bad. Sometimes things get really bad and we can't control them. We have very little, if any, control over them. We're trying to get better at that. We're trying to get very good at it. Charlie says he didn't go out at all. That might be good. Carl Smith says he passed out and slept most of the day. That also might not be such a bad idea. Okay? Richard Smith says it is not the same, but I have arthritis, an arthritis weather station. Oh yeah, I can totally understand that. I get that. I have some arthritis in my hands and in my shoulders, so that does affect me as well in some cases. A lot of us probably do. Now, if you guys are up in the Pacific Northwest, there is a storm coming in off the Pacific. It's going to hit central Washington before it gets the northern part of the state, but it is coming in. It's coming into Washington and over into Oregon. There is a storm coming in. I want to make sure everybody realizes that. Why? Why should you know that a storm's coming in? It's going to affect Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada, Washington, Oregon, and parts of California. California is going to get more rain. A lot of rain. We've seen what's happened in the past in California, Washington and Oregon with floods. We've already seen fires in Northern California. We've seen fires in Southern California now. We've seen flood with rainstorms. We've seen landslides. You need to all be aware of what's going to happen, possibly again. Okay? It's going to happen again. Now, beware of it. Be aware of it. These storms can change very rapidly. These storms can also cause a lot of problems. I just wanted to give you a heads up about it. Does anybody have any questions about these storms coming in from the Pacific coast? Apollo Man says, God bless you, Ron, and everyone listening to this program. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate that a lot. Sheila Dean says she's so happy that she found me here on the air. We've been here on the air for about 5.5 years, just so you know. I would ask you if once you found us, you subscribe to our channel. There are about 26% of the people that watch this program that do not subscribe for whatever reason. If you don't subscribe, you're not going to be able to find this program right away. YouTube has a habit of suppressing our program, not letting everybody see it. So if you subscribe to it, you're more likely to see it. When you subscribe, there's a little bell icon, a small tiny bell icon right next to the subscribe button. You click on that little bell icon. A drop-down menu of 3 items is going to appear. Click on the word ALL, all. That should get you notified when we come on the air, but not necessarily. Because like I said, YouTube, sometimes, a lot lately, is not notifying people when we come on the air. If you're not receiving notifications, immediately unsubscribe and then immediately resubscribe to our program. And again, click on that little bell icon and click on the word ALL. That should get you re-notified when we come on the air. Okay, I'm just giving you some advice here. One of our mods, well actually several of our mods have also told me it's happened to them. And they have to unsubscribe, immediately resubscribe, and also to click on that notification bell and the word ALL in order to be notified when we're on the air. Okay? I want to thank Linda Covington for being here again tonight. Linda Covington is a great friend of ours and a friend of our programs. I appreciate her being here on the air as well. Thank you, Linda. God bless you. Heidi Petrick is also here. Thanks for being here, Heidi. God bless you for that. We appreciate all our people being here. You're all part of the EMA family, the Emergency Management Associates family. Again, if you would like to, please not just subscribe, but hit that or click on that little notification information, that website that we have here on YouTube. Click on that and join us in membership here on this program. Okay? Like I said, I've kept the cost down because I'd rather have people join us and become members of Emergency Management Associates. That way, you're here with us. You're here with us when major events happen. And yes, it's going to. It always does happen. I spend the greater part of every day putting information together for all of you. Richard Smith is saying in the chat, I work very hard to get the best information to put it on the air. And he's also saying thank you for joining this family. Someone else, Ed, asked me what happened to me. Apparently you're seeing me with a nasal cannula. Demon Catman says I was injured as a federal police officer here in the United States. I took several blows to the chest as I was teaching weapons training as a police officer. I also took several blows to the chest when I was apprehending suspects out on the street. That took a toll over 24 years that I was on the street. In 2017, I ended up in the hospital because I couldn't breathe. Doctors found I had blood clots in my lungs as well, and my right diaphragm was injured. It was identified as paralyzed. So they put me on blood thinners, dissolved the clots in my lungs, but because my right diaphragm does not help my right lung inflate, as a result, I've got this nasal cannula helping provide oxygen. Sometimes, and I kept the nasal cannula on tonight, but sometimes I can go up to 2 or 3 hours talking like I do here in this program, and I don't have a problem. But today I felt like I needed it. That's why I'm wearing it now. Anyway, I want to go on with information. One of the things I want to talk about tonight is the New Madrid Fault. But prior to that, I want to talk about the earthquakes on the East Coast. Earthquakes on the East Coast are affecting the New Madrid Fault. Now, I'm going to start this program tonight talking about earthquakes up in the eastern part of the northeastern part of the United States, starting with Virginia. I want to go over to Accomack, Virginia. I'm going to show you seismograms. I'm going to switch my happy face to show you seismograms here that I want to show you. Not Juneteenth. Sorry, that's not what I want to show you. This is what I want to show you. Accomack, Virginia. Look at this. Look at all these tremors. Tremors caused by the Atlantic plate. This is right here. This is a 2.0 earthquake right here. This is probably the largest earthquake here in Accomack, Virginia. A 2.0 minor earthquake. All the rest of these are all tremors. All the rest of these are all tremors all morning long here in Accomack, Virginia. Now, I want to show you Accomack, Virginia this afternoon. The tremors didn't stop with this morning. The tremors are continuing here. Look at this. These are all tremors here this afternoon. Tremors caused by the Mid-Atlantic Fault expanding. The Mid-Atlantic Fault is out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. The fault is expanding. It's going like this. It's expanding just like this. That expansion is putting pressure on the North American continent. Greenland, Canada, the United States, and northern Mexico. It's pushing Greenland, Canada, the United States, and Mexico in a southwesterly direction. In doing so, it's putting pressure on the North American continent. These tremors that you're seeing are a result of that pressure. This is just Virginia. I tried pulling information about Pennsylvania and it wouldn't let me pull it. They're not willing to let me show you that information. Let's go over to Mineral, Virginia next. Look at this, guys. At the top of this seismogram here, this is midnight last night. This top line here is midnight last night. These are microquakes. Microquakes here. Here on the second line, this is 12:15 this morning. The top line here is midnight. This next line here is 12:15 this morning. Then it goes from microquakes to tremors right here. This is 1.0, 1.1 tremors here. Down here, just after 12:46 a.m. this morning, right here is 12:46. All of a sudden we have 1.1, 1.2 tremors here. Then it goes back to microquakes and occasionally a tremor. But what do you think happened after 5:57 a.m. this morning? 5:57 a.m. this morning, look what happened. This is a 3.2 magnitude earthquake. A 3.2 magnitude earthquake here in Mineral, Virginia. This is a good sized earthquake. We are going to continue to see these kinds of earthquakes as the Atlantic plate expands. Going to happen up and down the east coast of the United States. The rest of the seismic data here shows nothing but tremors the rest of the morning today. Let's take a look at Mineral, Virginia this afternoon. Look at this, guys. This morning at 5:40 or 5:53 this morning, we had 3.0 earthquakes. Look what we have now. This black line here is 12 noon right here. 12 noon on the left-hand side. Look at this. We have a bunch of tremors here. Right here, it looks to be a 1.7, 1.8 tremor there. We continue with small tremors here. Then what happens here all of a sudden? We have some tremor activity, but all of a sudden, it becomes a large earthquake. It goes off the paper on the top. It completely leaves the paper at the top. But we can see the bottom of this earthquake, the primary wave of the earthquake. This may be a 3.5 earthquake. I do not believe it was just a 3.3. I believe this was a 3.5 small earthquake today in Mineral, Virginia. Then, not more than a minute and a half later, we have another one here. A 3.3 magnitude earthquake. Look at the length of time this earthquake was here shaking the earth. The width of this earthquake here you see. It maybe shook the earth for about 5 seconds here. 5-second 3.3 earthquake. Here, it shook the earth for a longer period of time. We have multiple 3.0 earthquakes right here. Then it came over here to a larger earthquake here. 3.3 earthquake shaking. Look at the length of time. Look at the width of this quake here. The length of time it shook is the powerful earthquake shaking. How would you like to have felt this earthquake? Being rocked out of your beds at midnight. That's what happened here. Then here, this is a 2.8 earthquake here. So we go from having 3.3 earthquakes here and here, and all of a sudden, just a minor earthquake here. This minor earthquake probably was not even felt. Then we go back to microquakes and occasional tremor. Tremor activity through here as well. This area here, right here over on this side, is 3:45 p.m. here. Just minor earthquake, minor tremors right here. Minor tremors at 3:45. Minor tremors at 4 o'clock, 4:15. Even down here at 4:30. But what happened after 5:14 this afternoon? 5:14 this afternoon right here. Guess what? This is a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. And the ground kept shaking after 5:15 right here. These are tremors right here, but this is a 2.8, maybe a 2.9 earthquake right here. Mineral, Virginia. Virginia was shaking because of the expansion of the Atlantic plate. Just briefly, I want to show you what happens with the Atlantic plate. I'm coming over here with the USGS map. I'm going to expand this map to the mid-Atlantic. I expanded it just a little bit too much here. Let me see if I can reduce it a little bit. Maybe not. Anyway, the mid-Atlantic fault starts right down here on the Antarctic Ridge in the Atlantic Ocean. The mid-Atlantic fault goes right up the mid-Atlantic here, the South Mid-Atlantic here. It goes over here into the mid-Atlantic Ocean here, between Africa and South America. It continues up the mid-Atlantic here to the North Atlantic here. It comes up here and goes through Iceland here. It's literally splitting Iceland in half, and it continues north from there. But right here, this mid-Atlantic plate is expanding. It is expanding. It is pushing Europe and Africa in an easterly direction. It is pushing Greenland and North America, Canada, the United States, and Mexico here in a southwesterly direction. That is why we're seeing earthquakes here. Okay? That's exactly why we're seeing earthquakes here. Rabbit Hole is asking, the Rift Valley part of the plate, which Rift Valley? There are many Rift Valleys all over the place. Which Rift Valley are you talking about? There are many, many Rift Valleys, that's what I'm saying. He's talking about Africa. Africa, the mid-Atlantic fault here, right here, is pushing Africa and Europe in an easterly direction. It's putting pressure on any and all faults all over Africa. It's putting pressure on any and all faults in Africa and all over Europe. That's why we're seeing so many earthquakes here in Africa and in Europe as well. Europe has always had earthquakes, but now it's getting more and more evident though. It's getting more and more evident. But the mid-Atlantic fault is putting pressure here on the east coast of the United States, right here. This is an earthquake again here in North Carolina. In a minute, I'm going to talk about earthquakes in North Carolina. They're happening. This happens to be in Sparta, North Carolina, about an hour and 45 minutes northwest from where I live. As I stated before, and maybe Friday we'll talk about this even more. Back 4 years ago, Sparta, North Carolina had a 5.1 earthquake. It did a lot of damage. This, folks, you can see it here, this raised area here. This is the Eastern Continental Divide. To have another 2.1 earthquake here is telling us that the mid-Atlantic fault out here in the ocean is putting pressure here. That pressure is not just here on the coastline. This pressure is over here on the mid-Atlantic, or not the mid-Atlantic fault, but the Eastern Continental Divide here. The mountains here, starting with the Blue Ridge Mountains down here in Georgia, South and North Carolina here, the Blue Ridge Mountains. As it goes north, it becomes the Appalachian Mountains here. Then it goes further north past New York, and it becomes the Eastern Continental Divide by itself. I don't remember what the mountains are called up here in northern Maine, New Hampshire area going into Canada. Richard, do you have an answer for that? What are those mountains called, the Eastern Continental Divide in Canada? I don't know. I don't know. Now, Richard's talking about a 3.9, 4.0 earthquake in southern Peru. That's happening. That is happening. The Pacific Plate is subducting under South America as well. The Pacific Plate is subducting under South America. Mariana Powry is asking, is South Africa getting earthquakes in the 5 to 7 range? No, it's not. The largest earthquake we saw in Africa was about a year ago. And yes, it was a 5.0 in Rwanda. That is the largest earthquake that I personally have seen in the last 5.5 years. Yes, it's possible that Africa will see large earthquakes. It is possible. The largest earthquake I've seen as of late, is a 4.0, also in northern Africa. Okay, it happens. Richard Smith says also the Appalachians possibly in Canada. I don't know either. He thinks it might be the Appalachian Mountains as well. Laura Murray, my dear friends, watering her garden. Just came in from watering her vegetable garden in Oregon. Part of my emergency preparedness plan. Laura is good. Laura is a very dear friend of mine from a long time ago. We're still very good friends now. Anyway, folks, that's what's happening. We just told you about earthquakes here in Virginia. Now I'm going to talk about earthquakes here in North Carolina with this 2.1 in Sparta, North Carolina, early this morning. This was 1:39 a.m. Eastern Time this morning. This was a 2.1 minor earthquake. It did not have any effect on business. It was a very minor earthquake. A very minor earthquake. Most people will never feel a 2.1 earthquake. Only very, very sensitive people. I want to go over now to King, North Carolina. King, North Carolina is a small town over in northern North Carolina. It's a very small town, maybe 500 people. Look at this. We're not seeing anything more than small tremors here. Nowhere. Until we get down here at just after 11 a.m. this morning. This appears to be a 2.2, 2.3 earthquake right here. The rest of this seismic data is just tremors here. Tremors all throughout the morning until 11 a.m. this morning. Just after 11 a.m. Then, this afternoon is a little bit different story. Look at this, guys. Still a lot of tiny tremors here. 1.0 tremors here. Right over here. A 1.6, 1.7 tremor right here. This is just about 12:43 p.m. this afternoon. Right there. 12:43 p.m. this afternoon. A 1.7 tremor. Woohoo! Nobody feels tremors. That is slight earth movement. Tremors are very slight earth movement. This is all tremors here. These are all tremors here. Right here. Still tremors after 1700, which is 5 p.m. We come down here to 5:15. 5:15, we're still seeing minor tremors, and this is a minor 1.8, 1.9 tremor here. Nearly a 2.0 earthquake. Just a minor 1.8, 1.9 tremor. This appears to be a 1.8 tremor right here. Look at this tremor activity here. This is increasing seismic activity. I'm going to say this again. This is increased seismic activity. Race versus Richard, the Appalachian Mountains go from Georgia all the way up north. I'm glad to know that, because I was told that the Georgia mountains and North Carolina mountains, well, northern Georgia, South and North Carolina mountains are the North Ridge or Blue Ridge Mountains. The Blue Ridge Mountains. That's what I was told. But Appalachian Mountains go north into Virginia, or from Virginia going north. That's what I was told. Okay, let's look at Pittsboro, North Carolina. This is over along the northern coast of North Carolina. Look at this. Again, nothing but minor, very minor 1.0 tremors here. Here it increases into 2.0, 2.3 tremors here. Small, tiny tremors here. Right here. This is either a 1.9 tremor or a 2.0 earthquake right here. Right here. This is a 2.3 earthquake right there. A 2.3 earthquake right there. All the rest of these are tremors in Pittsboro, North Carolina. This is a tiny town of about 492 people in Pittsboro, North Carolina. Let's continue here. That was this morning. Nothing happened this evening. Let's go over to Roland, North Carolina. ROWLAND, North Carolina. This is this morning. June 19th this morning. The top of this seismogram starts off at midnight last night. 12 a.m. this morning. Nothing but tiny microquakes and tremors here. Right here at 3:30 on this blue line. It starts off here with 1.0 tremors and increases to 1.2 tremors here. Gets less and less. Then it starts building here after 8 a.m. here. About 8:09 a.m. here, it's actually 8:11 a.m. here, it starts building with larger tremors. Again, nothing but tremors. Then we come down here. This is 10 a.m. Just prior to 10 a.m., this is 9:45 here. 9:45 here, and we come across here on this green line. It starts building up here. Nothing but tremors. However, the tremors build up to earthquakes here. 2.0 earthquake right there. Then it builds up to at least a 3.0, 3.1 earthquake here. Multiple earthquakes right here. Right here you can see multiple earthquakes here. Like 3 or 4 3.0, 3.1 earthquakes right there. This earthquake basically lasts just about 3 to 5 seconds. 3.1 earthquake. Then over here. Over here, we have 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. 2.3, 2.4 earthquake here. And more tremor activity here, going all the way down here at 10 a.m. over here. We continue to have tremor activity here until we get over here, and then again we're seeing 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. We come down over here. This continues. This is 10:15 right here. We come over here, and again we have like a 2.4, 2.5 earthquake here. Then it reduces back to tremors again. Then it picks up here with again 2.2, 2.4, 2.5 activity here. Right here. This is a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. Right there. And more tremor activity after that. That's this morning here in Roland, North Carolina. Earthquakes. And yes, we have seen 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes in Roland, North Carolina before. I want to show you this next one in Roland, North Carolina this afternoon. Right here. Look at this, guys. Minor tremor activity here. 1.1 tremors here. Look at all these 1.1 tremors for the longest time. Hours. Hours. It continues over here. 2 p.m. there. 2:45 on the green line here. Then we go over here to the right. All of a sudden we have 3.0, 3.3 earthquakes right here. Multiple earthquakes right here. 3 or 4 3.0 earthquakes here. Maybe a little bit larger than that. Then it goes back down to tremors here. We come down here to 3 p.m. here on this black line. Nothing here on this black line but 1.1 tremors at the most. 1.0, 1.1 tremors. We come down here to 3:15. 1500 hours is 3 o'clock. 3:15 is on this red line. The tremors increase here. Actually, the tremors started increasing over here at approximately 3:14, actually 3:13 p.m. right there. The tremors start increasing. The tremors increased all the way over here. Again, right here we have 3.0 earthquakes. Multiple earthquakes happening right here. You can see it right there. multiple primary quakes here. Then it gets less here, drops down. Then all of a sudden we have 2.9 earthquake here. And the tremors continue after that. Then we come over here to 345. Earthquakes continue. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. Seismic activity continues. Again, right here, we have 3.0 earthquakes right here. Then we have tremors and minor earthquakes still in this green line here. Still after 345. Right here, this is about 3:52 p.m. here on the green line. And they continue here. Okay? Incredible, huh? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Down here, this is 407 here on this red line here. 407. 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes here. Then nothing but tremors here. Down here, 5:02 p.m. this afternoon. 3.0 earthquakes here. Probably 2 3.0 earthquakes here. Tremors after that. Then we have another 3.0 earthquake happening here. Over and over again. Like 4 or 5 3.0 earthquakes, one after the other here. Roland, North Carolina. This is about 200 miles north and east from where I live. 200 miles north and east from where I live. Roland, North Carolina, guys. Earthquakes do happen here in North Carolina. Again, that is the mid-Atlantic fault pushing on the North American plate. Pushing on the North American plate. Roland, North Carolina. Let's drop down south to Blacksburg, South Carolina. I'm eager to show you what's happening here. Look at this. Now, what you're seeing here is zigzag lines. Seismograms do not show zigzag lines. The zigzag lines, if you see them on a seismogram, all you're seeing is what they call artifact, false data. These zigzag lines are false data. However, between all the false data, you're seeing tremors here. You're seeing tremors all over this area. Right here, it's 3 a.m. over here on the left-hand side. Over here, right over here, this is 3:03. 3:03 this morning Eastern Time. These are tremors here. We go further to the right here. This is 3:11 here. 2.0 earthquake here. 2.0 earthquake here. This is 3:33 a.m. here. 2.0 minor earthquake here. These are all tremors here. This appears to be a 2.0 minor earthquake right here. This would be 3:50 a.m. this morning. 3:50 a.m. this morning right here. Okay? Nothing more than tremors until we get down here. This is 9:15 a.m. right here. Kings Mountain, Blacksburg, South Carolina. This is a 2.5 earthquake here. 2.5 minor earthquake right there. All the rest of these are all tremors. Okay? South Carolina. But we're not done yet. Blacksburg, South Carolina, this afternoon. Coming up right there. Again, all we're seeing here in Blacksburg, South Carolina are tremors this afternoon. Some tremors larger than others here. Okay? Still tremors here in Blacksburg, South Carolina. Let's move down to Scranton, South Carolina. I just love this stuff. I love this stuff, guys. Very tiny tremors here. 1.0, 1.1 tremors here. 1.3, 1.4 tremor there. Minor tremors here. Then it starts picking up after 11 a.m. this morning. Look at this. The tremors increase after 11 a.m. here. What happens after noon here in Scranton? What happens? Let's find out. Look at this, guys. We have the same thing here. 12 noon here, 12:15 here, and we have the same kind of tremors all throughout here. So we had a tremor increase started at 11 a.m. this morning, and it continued through about 12:30 a.m. here. Or I'm saying, sorry, 12:30 p.m. here. 12:30 p.m. here, we're getting back here to 1.1, 1.2 tremors max. This tremor here is after 2:32 this afternoon. Probably a 1.7, 1.8 tremor there. All the rest of this is all tremor activity here. Not much to be really concerned about here in Scranton, South Carolina tonight, or this afternoon, I should say. But there's another area here in South Carolina we want to take a look at. This is Sumter, South Carolina. Sumter, South Carolina is just east of Lugoff and Elgin, South Carolina. USGS in the past year, maybe a year and a half, has reported earthquakes, and I'm talking 2.5 to 3.0 earthquakes near Lugoff and Elgin, South Carolina. Well, guess what? Sumter isn't that far east of there. All we're seeing here is tremors, right? All the way down here to 7:45 a.m. here. We come all the way over here, okay? Now we're at 7:56 a.m. here. All of a sudden we're seeing 3.3 earthquakes here. 3.3 earthquakes continue for about 15 seconds here. About 15 seconds worth of 3.3 earthquakes. These are felt earthquakes. These are felt earthquakes in Sumter, South Carolina. These earthquakes were probably felt in Lugoff and Elgin as well to the west. Yet USGS didn't show these on the map, did they? USGS didn't show any of these on the map. Not one. They didn't even show the 3.0s in Roland, North Carolina either. How about down here? This is 11 a.m. right here. The red line here is 11:15. We go over here again. Here we're looking at 11:21 a.m. here. 11:21 a.m. here. Again, we're looking at 3.0, 3.3 earthquakes here. Again, about 10 or 15 seconds worth of earthquakes. Felt earthquakes. Felt earthquakes here in Sumter, South Carolina. Again, these are not shown on the USGS map. I'm asking why. Why? This afternoon, the seismic activity continued right here, just after 1:01 p.m. Right here is 1 p.m. right there, 1300 hours. This is just after 1:01 p.m. this afternoon. Here we're seeing a 2.8 earthquake here. Then it increases here to a full-blown 3.0 earthquake here. Look at the earthquakes here. Look at the number of earthquakes. Let me see if I can enlarge this so you can see the true value of what we're talking about. Look at all the earthquakes here. It's multiple earthquakes. At least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 earthquakes here. 10 earthquakes within a 10-second, 15-second time period. Right there. Look at the thickness of these quakes. The lines joined here, don't they? That means the quakes were back to back to back. How about right here? Right here. Over here is 3:45 p.m., 3:46, 3:47, 348 right here. Look here. 3.3, 3.4 earthquakes here. The top and the bottom are cut off here. The top and the bottom are cut off. This is probably a 3.5 earthquake here. Multiple earthquakes. Multiple earthquakes. They happened so close together, the lines were merged here. Rick Silva, I just noticed Rick Silva here in the chat. Thank you so much for being here, Rick. We appreciate it. Hope you and your wife are doing well. Rick Silva is also a very dear friend of ours and a friend of our program. Thank you for being here, Rick. Anyway, this is Sumter, South Carolina this afternoon. A lot of seismic energy here, right? Oh yeah, absolutely. But folks, let's go further south. Let's go further south over here to Georgia, Calhoun, Georgia. I want you to see this. Look what happens here. It starts off again with 1.0 tremors here, bordering minor microquakes. This is 1.1, 2.2 earthquakes here. I'm sorry, not earthquakes, 1.1 tremors here. Okay? Continue over here. Then very quiet here until after 4:45 here. This is 4:49 here. Just tremors. Just tremors. What happens here? This is 6 a.m. here. The tremors continue for a minute. Then the earthquakes get larger here. At least 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes here. You can see these lines going up here. I don't know why they don't show down here, but these are at least 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes. Tremor activity here. Tremor activity all the way down here until we get here. This is 10:56 a.m. here. This is a 3.0 earthquake here. It built up with tremors, it became a 3.0 earthquake, and then had some tremors for another 10 or 15 seconds here. Then 11 o'clock. Nothing after 11 o'clock. 11:15. Look at this. All of a sudden we have at least a 2.9 earthquake here. 2.9 earthquake here. Multiple quakes side by side here. Calhoun, Georgia. Georgia is also experiencing the same kind of earthquake activity. It's happening. Calhoun, Georgia this afternoon. Right here. Again, we're seeing a bunch of tremors here. This is a 3.0 earthquake here. This is 3:20 p.m. here. 3:20 p.m. this afternoon right here. A 3.0 earthquake here in Georgia. Calhoun, Georgia. USGS is not reporting this earthquake either. Demon Catman says the government doesn't want to cause panic. They want control and the money to continue rolling in. That's exactly why they're doing it. Then Demon Catman in the next chat says, imagine several million people suddenly upping and moving, ripping up their families and leaving. That's what would happen if USGS was being honest with what's going on. People would get up and leave. People would get up and move. They wouldn't stick around. We're already seeing 3.0 small activity here. We're seeing 3.0, 3.5, and larger activity up and down the entire coast of the United States. Let's look at Montrose, Georgia. Why am I showing you this? Is because seismic activity seems to have picked up here in Georgia as well. Tremor activity here until 6 a.m. this morning. Minor tremor activity here. Here is a 2.0 earthquake. Here it looks to be a 2.5 earthquake here. Still minor earthquake activity. Then tremors after that. However, look at this. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes of tremor activity after the main shock. This may have been larger. The seismologist may have turned down this seismograph. Because look at this secondary wave here. It comes all the way out to here. The secondary wave here, the length of the secondary wave means that this primary wave must have been larger. Look at this, okay? Right here in this green line. This is 6:53 a.m. here. Look at all this activity here. Still, this is earthquake activity. Minor earthquake activity here. You see all this earthquake activity here. Okay? 6:53 a.m. this morning. Then it's fairly calm until right here. This is 7:53 a.m. here. This is a small earthquake, at least a 3.0 earthquake right here. Look how close these lines are here. Look how thick this is. This means the earthquakes were back to back to back again. Multiple 3.0 earthquakes right here. Okay, 7:53 a.m. here. Then we have tremors, and down here we have at least a 2.8 earthquake right here. Tremors building up and tremors afterwards. The tremors here afterwards are a secondary wave here out about a minute and 45 seconds. Then we still see tremors here. We come down here to this blue line. This is 10:30 a.m. right here. We come across right here. This is 10:37 a.m. here. This appears to be a 2.8 earthquake here. 2.8 minor earthquake here. More tremors here. This is 11:45 a.m. right over here on the left-hand side, and over here. This is 11:55 a.m. right there. This is a 2.9 earthquake here, possibly a 3.0. Tremor activity building all the way over here at 11:45. Continued to build up all the way over here. It took 13 minutes for this earthquake activity to build. Tremor activity building into a large earthquake. This is Montrose, Georgia. Montrose, Georgia. Okay? Savannah, Georgia. I want you to see this. Look at this. Savannah, Georgia. All of this stuff is tremors. All this stuff is tremors. Right here in this green line here. This is 8:40, I want to say 8:49. No, it's even further than that. 8:52 a.m. right here. This is probably a 2.4 earthquake here. The red line here shows another earthquake here, a 2.0, 2.3 earthquake here. Here, right here, 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 and here. At least 2.0, 2.3 earthquakes there. Down here, this is also appearing to be a 2.1, 2.2 earthquake here. Minor tremors and minor earthquakes here. Okay? Savannah, Georgia. Savannah, Georgia this afternoon. Look at this, guys. Tremors, except for this one here. Look at this. This appears to be a 2.8 earthquake here. We can't see the bottom of it, but we can surely see the top, and it's going off the paper. This is at least a 2.8 earthquake. Possibly as much as a 3.0, but I believe this is a 2.3 earthquake right there. Right here. This is another seismic sequence here. Earthquakes. Minor earthquake sequence here. Minor earthquake sequence here. Minor earthquake sequence there. Another minor quake here. Another minor earthquake here. Minor earthquake here. Minor earthquake here. Minor earthquake here. Right here, this is 4 4:31 p.m. here. Look at all this tremor activity. Savannah, Georgia. So we're showing you plenty of activity that is happening on the East Coast. How about the New Madrid Fault? I'm only going to show you the larger activity here on the New Madrid Fault. Catfish Pond, Arkansas this afternoon. Look here. This is 2.5 earthquake here. This seismic energy, we can't see the top for whatever reason, but it comes all the way down here. This could be a 2.7 earthquake. Minor earthquake activity here this afternoon at Catfish Pond, Arkansas. This would be 2:20. No, it's even more than that. 2:25 p.m. this afternoon, right here. That's still a lot of earthquake activity. Catfish Pond, Arkansas. I'm not done. Mark Tree, Arkansas. We always have a lot of earthquake activity here at Mark Tree, Arkansas. Look at this. Right here. This black line over here is midnight. The black line over here on the left is midnight. We come over here. We have constant tremor activity building here. It really starts to build here at 1:10 a.m. right there. All of a sudden it starts really building here. All of a sudden the seismic activity goes off the paper. At least 2.5 earthquake here. It continues off the paper, but here, look at these earthquakes here. Multiple earthquakes back to back. Multiple earthquakes back to back here. Folks, right here as well. This is 2.5 earthquakes here at least. 2.5 earthquake sequence here. It continues over here as well. This is 12:15 this morning here. It continues over here. The secondary wave lasts over into here. Secondary wave starts right here. Actually, let's take it back here to 12:15. Secondary wave, minute 1. Secondary wave, minute 2. Secondary wave, minute 3. 3 minutes of secondary wave. This earthquake here, after 12:12 this morning, guess what? This could be a 3.0 earthquake. Right here on the blue line. Over here, it's 12:30. Over here, it starts right here. The tremors start building over here and continue 1, 2, 3 minutes here. Over here, it becomes a 2.0 earthquake here. These earthquakes here are 3.0 earthquakes, back to back to back. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14 3.0 earthquakes back to back to back, lasting over 1 minute. 3.0 earthquakes lasting over 1 minute. Okay? Right here. The seismic activity continues here, but here, well, actually, it starts over here. The secondary wave starts here for about 45 seconds here. Then we have another full minute here, a full minute here. 2 minutes and 45 seconds of secondary wave. This was at least a 3.0 earthquake lasting over a minute here. Over here, 2 a.m. here on the black line. We have hardly any activity here at all after 2 a.m. We come down here to 2:15. This is where it really begins. Actually, it begins over here at 2:13 a.m. here. Tiny tremors. The tiny tremors continue here, and then over here just after 2:17 a.m. here, all of a sudden we have 3.0 earthquakes here, earthquake here, multiple earthquakes here. This looks like at least a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake here. Secondary wave lasting 1, 2, 3 minutes here. Look at these earthquakes. Yes, Mark Tree, Arkansas, this is normal. This is very normal. It looks like Bombay Beach down in the California Imperial Valley. It also looks like, and some of you that are newer here didn't see this 5 years ago, over on the north side of Mount Shasta in Northern California, there was a seismograph called LMO. LMO on the north side of Mount Shasta. It looked like exactly like this here. 2.9, 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes happening every day. USGS has now shut that seismograph down. It's been shut down for 4 years now. The LMO seismograph at Mount Shasta has been shut down for at least 4 years. Again, the USGS does not want us to see what's going on. Here at Mark Tree, Arkansas, you can see the activity here. Anywhere from 2.0 minor earthquakes all the way up here to 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes. Notice here, the bottom of this seismic sequence is cut off. The top of this seismic sequence has been cut off. This may be as much as a 3.5 earthquake, back-to-back earthquakes. The thicker the lines here, it's back-to-back earthquakes. The bottom is cut off, the top is cut off. That means the agency does not want us to see what is going on. The same thing here. The top of this sequence is cut off here, the bottom is also cut off. This is after 6:15 here. A minute and a half of seismic signal here. 3.0 earthquakes. 3.0 earthquakes. Tremors here, 2.0 minor earthquakes here. We come down here, okay? This is 9:53 a.m. right here. We have tremors building up from about 9:10 or 9:50 a.m. here. Then it continues. Again, it builds up until we have 3.0 earthquakes here. First 3.0 earthquakes there, the next one's right there. This one may have been even larger. Then the seismic sequence continues. It continues for 1-2 minutes. A little over 2 minutes of seismic activity. The tops and the bottoms were cut off. That means this was at least a 3.0, 3.5 earthquake. A 3.0, 3.5 small earthquake. Why are they not letting us see it? Because they are afraid of us. They're afraid that people in Arkansas would leave. Mark Tree, Arkansas. This city is right along the fault line. Right along the fault line of the New Madrid Fault. Okay? How about this afternoon? Does it stop? Nope. It doesn't stop. Look at this. The earthquakes get less. They get less here. But the seismic energy doesn't stop. The tremors here continued. The earthquakes got larger here, right in here. These are at least 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes. 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes. Then here it gets to be 2.0 minor earthquakes here. Incredible. Tremors continuing here, tremors get larger here. Tremors continue here, we have a 2.0 earthquake here. Tremors continue here. Tremors continue here after 4 p.m. 4:30, the tremors still continue all the way through here until we get to 2.0 earthquake here. 4:45 p.m. right here. We come over here to about 4:50, 4:51, 4:52 p.m. right here. Again, this is a 2.5, I want to say 2.4, 2.5 earthquake here. 2.0 earthquakes here, 2.0 earthquakes there. Mark Tree, Arkansas. This is typical of Mark Tree, Arkansas every day. Not just today, every day. I've shown Mark Tree, Arkansas on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays. It's all the same. It's all the same. Going south, Truman, Arkansas. Same thing here. Look at that. Yes, we have tremors here. We have minor earthquake sequences going here and tremors after that. Minor earthquakes here, tremors after that. Minor earthquakes here up to probably 2.5, 2.6 earthquakes here after midnight. Tremors here. Tremors here after 3:30 a.m. here. All the way across. Right here. This is 4:11 a.m. right here. Right here it gets to be 2.5, 2.6 earthquakes here. That sequence continues over here at 4:30 a.m. this morning. Then we have secondary wave starting right here. Secondary wave lasts 1.5 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes. This earthquake here after 4:12 a.m. here, this may have been larger. Because the secondary wave here was lasting so long, this earthquake may have been a 3.0, maybe larger. Could have been larger. Maybe the seismograph was turned way down. The secondary wave proves that. The secondary wave proves that here. We have tremors and minor earthquakes here. Minor earthquakes continuing and tremors after that. Secondary wave again. We have tremors here. We have tremors all the way out to here. Then all of a sudden, this is 9:43 a.m. right there. Tremors beginning. Minor earthquakes here. All of a sudden we have a 2.5, 2.8 earthquake here. I believe after that, it became 3.0 earthquake activity right here. This is 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here with a secondary wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes long. This may have been a 3.0, 3.5 earthquake here, continuing all the way over here. Because the seismograph was turned down. I'm dead sure of it. Here we have a 2.7, 2.8 earthquakes here. Okay? It's happened. It happens all the time. This is Truman, Arkansas, just south of Marktree. Tyrons, Arkansas. Look at this. Tyrons, Arkansas. This is southeastern Arkansas, right alongside the New Madrid Fault. We have tons of tremors here, right? Oh yeah. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. This is 10:02 a.m. right here. Tremor activity. Right here is 10:05 a.m. here. Again, a 3.0 earthquake here. 3.0 earthquake here. Unreal, huh? Absolutely. Then we have tremors and minor earthquakes all the rest of the day, except right here. This is 10:45 a.m. here. Right here is at least a 3.3 earthquake here. 3.3 earthquake in Tyrons, Arkansas, southern Arkansas, just along the New Madrid Fault. It's happening. It's happening. Karen says, I would like to learn more about the southern part of West Virginia. West Virginia is also rocking. I did not put any seismograms here about West Virginia, but I could have. West Virginia is minor earthquakes building up to small earthquakes. And I verify everything before I even come on the air. I don't present any seismogram unless I know what's going on. I don't present any information unless I know what's going on. Let's look at Fairfield, Illinois. Fairfield, Illinois right here. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Right here on the left-hand side, this is 1:30 a.m. here. We have tremor activity here. After 2 a.m., more tremor activity. That tremor activity continues after 2:15 here. Then it calms down until right over here. This is 2:52 a.m. right here. Tremor activity. Tremor activity continues after 3 a.m. here. We see tremor activity here. These are long duration tremors, guys. Long duration tremors. These are small duration tremors here. Tremor activity. Nobody feels tremor activity. Nobody can. Folks, right here, look at this wavy line here. This is down in the South Sandwich Islands, a 5.7 earthquake in the South Sandwich Islands. That's what we're seeing right here. A 5.7, very large earthquake in the South Sandwich Islands. Fairfield, Illinois, this afternoon. This is the northern part of the New Madrid Fault. Again, we're still seeing the South Sandwich Island quake. Look at this. This is the South Sandwich Island quake, and some of this still is here. Still see the wavy lines here, the South Sandwich Islands earthquake. It reverberated for over an hour. It reverberated for over an hour. Maybe close to 2 hours. But still here in Fairfield, Illinois, you see tremor activity. This is the northern end of the New Madrid Fault, guys. And it's not just there. Let's show you Evansville, Indiana. Indiana to the east of Illinois. Look at this. I'm sorry, I don't know how that happened. Suddenly we came, well, no, this is Evansville, Indiana this afternoon. Tremor activity. Tremor activity this afternoon. I thought I was going to show you this morning too. Yes, right here. This is Evansville, Indiana this morning. All of this is tremor activity. Then again, down here, again, we have the South Sandwich Islands earthquake. The New Madrid Fault is alive and well. The New Madrid Fault is alive and well. I just want to tell you that. It is very much alive and well. I want to go over to East Prairie, Missouri. East Prairie, Missouri. Missouri is the center part of the New Madrid Fault. Look at this, guys. Just tiny microquakes and minor tremors here. A 2.0, 2.2 earthquake here. Right here. Then tiny tremors again. Tremors here after 7:15. Look at this. Right here after 8 o'clock. 8:06 a.m. right here. A 2.3 earthquake here. This is East Prairie, Missouri. And you can see tremors here. Notice they don't show the South Sandwich Island earthquake. A lot of these seismograms have been wiped clean of the South Sandwich Island earthquake. But you're seeing long duration tremors here as well. East Prairie, Missouri, the center of the New Madrid Fault. Let's look over here at East Prairie, Missouri this afternoon. This is increased tremor activity here this afternoon. Look at this. Increased tremor activity here. Tremor activity here. Ongoing after approximately 1:12, 1:13 this morning, or this afternoon. 1:13, 1:14 this afternoon. The tremors continue. Then all of a sudden over here, this would be 2:44 p.m. this afternoon. We see tremors here at 2:40 or 2:30. The tremors calm down here until right here. Then all of a sudden, right here, we have a 3.0 series of quakes here. This is 2:44 p.m. right here. 3.0 earthquakes here in Missouri. Here, this is after 2:45 here. We come over here. This is 2:50 p.m. here. Close to 3.0 earthquakes here, 3.0 earthquake here. 2.0 earthquake here, 2 here, 2 here. Then we have tremor activity the rest of the day. Right alongside the New Madrid Fault. 3.0 earthquakes on the New Madrid Fault. We come down here to Guam, Missouri. Guam, Missouri. Again, the center part of the New Madrid Fault. Look at this. You can't deny what's here. Again, the USGS is not showing any of this. Rarely do they ever show what's going on. Rarely do they ever show what's going on. Occasionally, they'll let us see a 2.3, 2.7 earthquake, either in Missouri or on the eastern side in Tennessee. This is Guam, Missouri. Tiny tremors here, building up to at least 2.4, 2.5 earthquakes here. All of a sudden, the seismic energy goes crazy. 3.0 earthquake here, 3.0 earthquake here, 3.0 earthquake here. Seismic signals starting right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Secondary waves starting right here. 1, 2, 3.5 minutes. 3.5 minutes of secondary quake. These were at least 3.0 earthquakes. Here, 12:45 a.m. this morning, tremors. This may be a 2.0 earthquake right here, but other than that, that is a tremor sequence. This is 2.5 earthquake here, 2.5 earthquake here. This is a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. Look at these earthquakes here, minor earthquake sequence. This is a 2.9 earthquake here. This is also a 2.9 earthquake here. Tremors, tremors, tremors leading into a 2.9 earthquake here. The center of the New Madrid Fault, guys. Right here, this looks to be a 2.7 earthquake here. Tremors, tremors. Over here, tremors start right here. This is 8:40 a.m. right here. 8:46, 8:47, 8:48, 8:49 right here. Look at that. Look at this earthquake sequence. These are 2.8 earthquakes here. This may be a 3.0 earthquake right here. This may be a 3.0 earthquake right here. Then tremors leading into a secondary wave starting there. Secondary wave. 2.0 earthquake, tremors before and after that. Tremors here. Right here. This is 9:41 a.m. right here. Probably a 2.8 earthquake here. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. These are all tremors. This is all tremors here. Over here, okay, this is 10:59 a.m. right here. Tremor sequence building into 2.0 earthquakes. Then over here, 2.7, 2.8. Then 2.6, 2.8 here. 2.0s leading into tremor sequence here. Secondary wave again. Tremors here. Guam, Missouri, the center of the New Madrid Fault this morning. They continue this afternoon. Look at this. Tremor sequence here after 12 noon. Small tremor sequence here just before 12:15. Nothing after 12:15 until right here. This is 12:30 right here. Right before 12:31, we have a 2.3, 2.4 sequence right there. Right here, a tremor sequence leading into 2.0 type earthquakes there. Tremors after that, secondary wave. 2.0 earthquake here, right here. Okay? This is after this is like 1:40, I'm sorry, not 1:40, 1:29 p.m. here. This would be a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. 3.0, 3.0 here. Look at these earthquakes here. This might have been a 3.0 earthquake here. Look at this sequence here. Seismic signals. Continuous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. 8 minutes worth of seismic sequence, and right here for almost a full minute we have close to a 3.0 earthquake. Incredible. This is long duration tremor activity, guys. We've seen longer than that. We've seen larger earthquakes than that. Let's look at Marston, Missouri. The other day, USGS told us of a 2.7 earthquake in Marston, Missouri. Well, guess what? Let's look at it. This is today. This is all today. 1.0 tremors all morning long here. Then we come down over here to 7 a.m. here. We come over here. This is 7:10 a.m. right here. All of a sudden we have a 3.0 earthquake right there. 3.0 small earthquake here at Marston, Missouri. Do you think USGS would tell us? Absolutely not. They don't want to show 3.0 small earthquakes in Missouri. They don't want to show 3.0 earthquakes on the New Madrid Fault. They're wanting to show 2-pointers, 2.5, 2.7, but they don't want to admit there's larger earthquakes on the New Madrid Fault. Mini earthquakes. There's a 3.0 sequence right there going over here as well. Multiple 3.0 earthquakes here after 9:30 this morning. 9:30 this morning is over here. Now we're looking at 9:40 a.m. right there. And it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop, guys. Right here. Over here is 9:45 on the green line. We come over here to about 9:50. Earthquakes. This is at least a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. We come over here. Now we're talking about a 3.0 earthquake here, here, and here. And it calms down for about a minute until it gets over here. This may have been a 3.0 earthquake right here at 10 a.m. this morning. On the New Madrid Fault, Marston, Missouri. You don't see this on the USGS map. Again, why not? Why are they not showing it? Why are they not showing it? How about Portersville, Missouri? Portersville, Missouri this morning. The center of the New Madrid Fault. Look at this. Tremors almost all morning long until we get over here. This is 8:45 a.m. this morning, 8:44 a.m. this morning right here. Actually, not 8:48, 8:58, 8:59 a.m. this morning right here. 2.8 earthquakes here. It continues over here at 9 a.m. here. 3.0 earthquakes here. Almost 2.5 minutes of 3.0 small earthquake activity here. Those are felt earthquakes. These are felt earthquakes, ladies and gentlemen, on the New Madrid Fault. Some of you have asked me over the past 2 or 3 years, Ron, when are you going to show seismic activity on the New Madrid Fault? I told you once the seismic activity gets larger than tremors, once it gets larger than tremors, and it has. It has gotten much larger than tremors. This is Portagesville, Missouri this afternoon. Look at this. Tremor activity after 12 noon today. 12:15, nothing. We come down here to 12:30 this afternoon. 2 minutes of tremor activity, then starts building. 3.0 earthquake right here. Starts off with 2.7, 2.8, gets to be a 3.0 earthquake there. Then we have a 2.7 earthquake here. Then a lot of nothing after that. Tremors. Tremors continuing until this is 1:32 p.m. this afternoon. Tremors building up, then all of a sudden we have 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes until we get to here. 3.0 earthquakes for a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes. From here to here. 2 minutes of 3.0 small earthquakes. Portagesville, Missouri. This is directly on top of the New Madrid Fault. The center of the New Madrid Fault, Portagesville, Missouri. This is a 3.0 earthquake here. These are minor earthquakes here. On the New Madrid Fault, guys, the government is not telling us about this. We're finding this on the seismograms because the data is here, but they're not publishing the data. The next one I want to show you is the east side of the New Madrid Fault. This is the Northwest Correctional Complex in Tiptonville, Tennessee. In the past weeks, we've had a lot of earthquakes, and I'm talking 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes. The entire seismogram was filled with earthquakes. Now it is lessened. This is a 3.0 earthquake after 3:30 this morning. 3:31, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3:36 this morning, a 3.0 earthquake. 2.4 earthquake here. All this is maybe a 2.2 earthquake here. All the rest of this is all tremors except for right here, another 2.0, 2.1 earthquake here. But a 3.0 earthquake in Tiptonville, Missouri. Today. And yes, in the previous weeks here, we've had this entire seismogram full of earthquakes. The seismic information is expanding. The seismic signals are expanding, guys. It's happening. It's happening, and I'm showing it to you. Tiptonville, Tennessee this afternoon. These are all tremors except for right here. This is a 2.4, 2.5 earthquake right there. This is a 2.3 earthquake here. Maybe a 2.0 earthquake here, and tremors all the rest of the time. It's happening, guys. It's happening. We are getting earthquakes, and they are larger than tremors. They are larger than just minor quakes. 3.0, 3.5s on the New Madrid Fault. Seismic energy traveling from the southern side of the New Madrid Fault down in Louisiana all the way up to Illinois and Indiana. Okay? The entire New Madrid Fault is on fire. The entire New Madrid Fault is moving. Full of earthquakes. It's full of earthquakes. Does anybody have any questions for me? Does anybody have any questions for me? I know I've shown you a lot of information, and it's it's just barely before 9 p.m. We've gone 2 hours here. We've gone just a little over 2 hours. Now, I came in here after my wife fed me dinner. It's not that she made me eat dinner with her. I wanted to eat dinner with her. But again, I showed you an earthquake here in North Carolina. Sparta, North Carolina, 2.1 earthquake. For the past 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we've seen minor earthquakes in Sparta, North Carolina. Those are the only earthquakes they've shown in North Carolina. They haven't shown any other earthquakes except for one in New Jersey. They showed one earthquake yesterday on the Pneumatic Fault. They're not showing any at all today. Why not? There are plenty of earthquakes all up and down the fault, all up and down the Eastern Continental Divide. Why are they not showing them? Because USGS is lame. It's supposed to be the preeminent seismic agency for the world. They don't even show earthquakes here in the U.S. Are they scared of them? I think they are. I think they're scared to show them because they know what will happen. Back in 1811, when the first earthquake hit on the Pneumatic Fault in December 1811, the area was not very much populated at all. I had relatives of mine that were living in the area. I don't know too much about it. There are only a few stories here and there. But from the stories I've since gathered about from other people, there was a lot of destruction. People were drowned because the Mississippi River expanded. It stopped flowing for 7 minutes. 7 minutes. Reelfoot Lake, R-E-E-L-F-O-O-T-E, Reelfoot Lake is a result of that Mississippi River stopping from flowing for 7 minutes. It's in existence today. Probably at the bottom of that lake, you would find timbers from cabins that had been built there along the Mississippi. Cabins were blown down by the water, knocked over because of the shaking. Animals and humans died from that earthquake. Scientists first thought that earthquake was a 7.0, 7.1 earthquake. Now scientists are theorizing it was an 8.0 plus quake. What's going to happen now? What's going to happen now? There is going to be another quake. I do not think it will be much more than 2 years before we see a major quake on the Pneumatic Fault. Given the information we have now, in the past 2 years, going from tremors all the way up to 3.5, even 4.0 earthquakes we found on the Pneumatic Fault in the past year and a half. The seismic energy is growing. It's increasing. I don't think it's going to take much more than 2 years and we're going to have a pneumatic earthquake. It's either going to be before the Cascadia earthquake or just after. Because the Cascadia earthquake is going to be felt across the entire United States and Canada. And it could trigger the pneumatic. It could trigger the pneumatic. It'll be felt coast to coast. It'll be felt all the way up into Alaska and all the way down to northern Mexico. Okay? Does anybody have any questions for me? I know I've talked a lot. I showed you a great deal of information about fires. I've shown you a great deal of information about earthquakes. I appreciate all of you being here. Right now we have 74 people that are still here with us this afternoon, this evening. I appreciate all of you. We have 84 thumbs up. I greatly appreciate all of that as well. Please, folks, on your way out tonight, before you leave here, please give us a thumbs up if you appreciate what we've done tonight. If you appreciate all the information we've imparted to you, please share this with everybody you know, with your friends, your neighbors, with your family, your extended family, with the people you work with, and also with your social media contacts all over the internet. Please share this far and wide. Not for me, but to impart this information to the greater public. Everybody desires and needs to know what's going on. This is why we give it to you. so you're able to prepare. They showed you fires in the beginning of this program. People having to evacuate with nothing because they were not prepared. They did not have an emergency preparedness kit, a go bag, or even a 72-hour kit, leaving with nothing. A lot of people trying to evacuate animals to a fairgrounds. People trying to evacuate animals. Some of those people are not even animal owners, but they're trying to save animals' lives. Incredible. Incredible. Those people must be commended for doing a great work. Now, brothers and sisters, at the end of my programs, I've been sharing with you a spiritual thought, a devotional, if you will. I would ask you to stick around for a couple more minutes. Tonight's devotional comes from Hebrews chapter 2. I'm going to start with verse 6, and I'm going through verse 9. Verse 6, Hebrews 2, verse 6. But one in a certain place testifies, saying, What is man, that thou art mindful of him? Or the Son of Man, that thou visitest him? Thou hast made him a little lower than the angels. Thou hast crowned him with glory and honor, and didst set him over the works of thy hands. Thou hast put all things in subjection under his feet. For in that he put all in subjection under him, he left nothing that is not put under him. But now we see him, not yet all things put under him. Who are we talking about? We're talking about the Lord Jesus Christ. Everyone and everything upon this earth is subject under Jesus Christ. All of us. The Lord has given us commandments to live. The Lord has set forth commandments and information for us to obey. He's given us everything. Our Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ have given us everything. Isn't it time that all of us pause for a few minutes and think about that? Isn't it time we start praying for guidance in our own lives? Isn't it time that we plead for guidance from heaven for us and our families? It's not just about you and I, it's our families. Families can be forever. I hope and pray families are forever. I know that it is possible that families are forever. But it is up to us to bring our families with us into heaven. I love you. I love you all. That's why I end this program with a devotional. That is why I share this information every day, every evening. I want everybody to have it. I want everybody to be prepared. People are dropping like flies. Now 57 people left here in the chat. God bless you. God be with you. Tomorrow night we'll touch on earthquakes in the Pacific Northwest. By the way, guess what? Mount St. Helens is moving. Mount St. Helens is shaking. Not major, minor and small earthquakes hitting Mount St. Helens. But a lot of earthquakes are hitting Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier may erupt before Mount St. Helens. If it doesn't, Mount St. Helens will erupt, and just possibly after that, Mount Rainier. Magma is pouring into both volcanoes. That is why there is so many earthquakes hitting both those volcanoes. Magma is pouring into the volcanoes, fracturing the rock, causing the earth to move. Rob 52 just put up a scripture here. I'm going to read it. John 14. John 14, verse 6. I want to read it not just because Rob put it up. Rob and I talk about scriptures all the time. I love the scriptures, as you know. John 14, verse 6. Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. The Lord wants us to come unto him. The only way we can do so is by studying the scriptures and turning our lives to God. Turning our lives to Jesus Christ and our Heavenly Father. May God bless us. May God be with you this day and always. If anything else happens tonight, we'll be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Until then, we will see you tomorrow night. Same time, same bat station. Sometime after 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. we'll be on the air tomorrow evening. God be with you till we meet again. I love you all. God bless you. Have a good night, everyone. I will be praying for each one of you. Have a good night. See you soon. Be safe.